Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all having a good day. And I hope that everybody is following what I'm saying and listening to everything that I'm saying. It is very important that when you do have an opportunity to go home and take your class at home, that you pay attention, that you take notes, that you treat this as you would any other type of class. The difference is that you are in the comfort of your home. Instead of sitting in the classroom, you're in your house. So take advantage of the aspect that makes it more comfortable, but also take advantage of the fact that you are getting an education. This here is no joke. It's not a game. It's not just for fun, although I try to have fun with it. You're here getting your education. With that being said, let's get started. Today we're going to talk about safety at the workplace. I believe we have already done a Quizlet study set that I created based off of things that we've seen in the classroom and talked about in the classroom, but today we're going to approach it from the textbook. All right, safety at the workplace. First of all, remember, you have to participate actively. You have to type stuff in the chat box. If you're unable to chat with me and let me know that you're here and participating, you can always reach out to me on other types of social media, take notes, and show me that you have been taking the class. It is very important. In this class, we will be approaching 3 of the abilities in the language: listening, reading, and writing. Speaking would be when we, for example, went into a Skype chat with everybody in the Skype chat, and then I'd ask questions. Then we would have the speaking aspect of it. I know that here in Norway, people tend to put digital skills as an ability in the language. I disregard that. I feel like a language consists of listening, speaking, reading, writing, and I also believe in thinking in the language. 5 skills, 5 abilities. So to me, what is important is that you show me that you can type in English the responses that I ask, the responses to the questions that I ask. It is important that you show me that you're thinking and that you can understand what I'm saying if I ask you for a translation of a term, and then you can type it in the chat. You will be listening and showing me that you understood by responding to me in the chat. This is very important. Although YouTube is not a school platform, I am fully aware of it. I am using it in an educational manner because it's accessible, it's easy to use, and I don't need to be connected to the school network to be able to use it. So I can use it from home. Anybody can access it. So that's why. Let's get started. Safety at the workplace. Remember, participate actively. Take notes. Respond. Type in chat. Even if you're a little bit late typing in, I want to see your response in there at some point. And I will be actively motivating you, encouraging you, putting hearts and saying, yes, that's correct. If it's not correct, I'll type in the correct answer. So please participate in the process. Safety at the workplace. First of all, I'd like you to look at this picture. What do you see? So this man, if you had to say, I would trade places with him and do that, I wouldn't be afraid. Would you say that? Or would you say, heck no, I'd never do that. That looks dangerous. So if you typed in the chat that you think it would be dangerous, tell me why and what is dangerous about the situation that he's in right now. Somebody must have mentioned that he is not wearing a harness to protect him from falling. He's not wearing a helmet or any other type of protection. And he seems to just be hanging from a rope, which looks like if he were to fall, he would die, basically. There's no surviving a fall from that height. You can see the height because in relation to what's behind him, he's obviously very high up somewhere. Very dangerous. Now, is this a real picture or has it been photoshopped? Well, according to this, it says, risky business. Constructing the Empire State Building in New York, 1930. According to this, it's a real picture. No, it hasn't been photoshopped. Nowadays, would we see something like that happening nowadays? Yes or no? And why? Nowadays, people use very safe scaffolding. They use protective gear. Protective gear. Gear, what is the word gear? Protective gears, things that you wear and that protects you. Protective gear. So you have the word protective, which is an adjective, and then you have the verb, to protect. And then you have the noun, protection. So you have to know how to use the different words. To protect, protective, protection. The same happens with other words. Yesterday in class, we talked about the word cooperation. And we also talked about the verb to cooperate. What's the adjective? To cooperate is the verb, cooperation is the noun, and noun in Norwegian, substantive. So now let's go through all of them. Cooperation, right? That is the noun, substantive. And then you have the verb, to cooperate. What is the adjective? Go. I hope it's already in the chat that somebody already put it. I want you to draw a parallel from what I said. Remember? To protect is the verb, protective is the adjective, protection, the noun. To cooperate is the verb, cooperation is the noun. What is the adjective? Everybody that has written cooperative, yay, that's correct. So you have to know how to use these words, because now, at the level in which you are, you have been studying English for many, many, many years. The average Norwegian nowadays studies English from the time they're in first grade. You are now in 11th grade, so you've had 10 years of English. That is a heck of a long time. So you should know certain things. There are more expectations at this level. And I gave you a list of mistakes for you to work on and correct those mistakes, and I expect you not to make the same mistakes moving forward. Okay? Just remembering a couple of things. To protect, protective, protection. To cooperate, cooperative, cooperation. So you have to know how to use words in different contexts. For example, I wear protective clothing when I work because I want to be safe at work. I am a very cooperative person. I cooperate with my colleagues. Cooperation is very important. So you have to know where to put the words. The reason I'm saying this is that you will have vocabulary tests where you will have to place the words in the correct places. Moving along, let's go to the following page, the next page after this, page 88. Page 88. On page 88, what do you see? What is that yellow thing over there? Put the name in the chat. Those of you who wrote hard hat, that's one possibility. Hard hat. Those of you who wrote helmet, I guess you could also use that word. It is protective gear for your head. It's a protective helmet. It's a hard hat. And it's yellow, very bright, so you can be easily visible. A lot of protective gear is yellow, bright, fluorescent green and fluorescent yellow, and to make sure that people can be seen. So now we're going to start listening and reading. I am going to post the link for you to listen to this carefully later if it's hard for you to listen to it right now. But we'll listen to each segment, stop and discuss the different segments, and please type responses in chat, show that you're participating. If you're not able to type in chat, take notes, show me pictures of the notes later, show me what you have done throughout the class, and show me that you have been taking the class. I can't emphasize this enough. This is part of your education. Yes, it is a lot more comfortable to sit at home and do this than it is to be in the classroom, but it's still part of your education. Everyone who is participating will get marked present in the class. It's very important that you participate, that you submit your work. Very important. Okay, let's get started. We're going to listen to the first segment, stop and discuss it. I will be providing you with a link for you to listen to it later if it's difficult for you to listen to it now. But please read the first page, page 88, the page that's right behind me.
Safety at the workplace. It is a well-known fact that more accidents happen in the home than at work, but most workplaces are dangerous in some way or another. Although we can take precautions against a number of hazards, no place of work will ever be entirely risk-free. occupational hazards. It is not only people working with machinery who are at risk, and not all hazards are connected with machines, vehicles, equipment and plant. Take the average office worker, sitting at his or her desk. How on earth can this person be at risk? The fact is, thousands of office workers suffer from stress due to overwork and too much responsibility. High blood pressure, strokes and heart attacks are not uncommon among these people. Nevertheless, when we think about accidents at work, we normally think about what can happen in factories, on building sites and on the road. Even these days, when there are very strict laws regarding environmental conditions, millions of people throughout the world are victims of unhealthy working conditions. Ventilation systems in factories are not always perfect. Workers are often exposed to toxic chemicals, and noise pollution is a major cause of poor health. Falls from walkways, ladders and scaffolding can easily occur if workers are careless or if conditions are unsafe. And fires, of course, can seriously injure and often kill large numbers of people at one and the same time. Risks are present on roads and building sites too. Drivers are at risk if their vehicles are not properly maintained, or if they drive when they are tired or stressed. Construction workers often suffer injuries because of bad weather conditions, careless equipment handling, or faulty tools and other equipment. People working with tools and machinery have to be extremely careful. Electricity can burn, shock, and even kill. Sharp tools can cause very serious injuries, and catching long hair or clothing in the moving parts of a machine can be fatal.
Let's talk about this for a minute. I'd like to ask some questions, and I would like you to put the answer in the chat box. Let's get started. Scan the text. Scan the text to make sure that you can find the answer. Okay? Look at the text. Look at it and find the answer. And type in the chat. True or false? Accidents can only happen at work. True or false? And tell me where you found this according to the text. True or false? Accidents can only happen at work. I hope that's what I said a second ago. Those of you who got the right answer, congratulations. According to the text, more accidents happen in the home than at work, but accidents can happen anywhere. True or false? The word now, this one, do not look at the book. Be honest with yourself, don't cheat. Look at the screen or at your phone, wherever you're watching this, and answer me. What does the term occupational hazard mean in our region? All right, I allowed about 10 seconds for you to answer it. Everybody that wrote that occupational hazard means yrkesrisker, and I hope I said it decently. Everybody that wrote that gets a bright star because it's correct. Very good. Okay, next. True or false? A person who works from home or a person who sits at a desk in an office is not at risk. True or false according to the text? everybody that wrote false is correct. And now I want you to tell me, in what ways is a person working behind a desk at risk? And you can even take bits and pieces from the text. The people who wrote, people who are at work from home or in an office, they're also at risk because they suffer from stress due to overwork, too much responsibility. They can get high blood pressure, strokes, and heart attacks. Those of you who wrote one or two or some of these causes, you were correct. Very good. True or false? That's the last one before we move on to the next page. True or false? There is a risk for somebody who works as a driver if their vehicles are not properly maintained. True or false? True. Those of you who marked true, you were correct. Very good. Now let's move on to the next page. Listen carefully. And if you can't hear properly, it doesn't matter because you have a link in the chat where you can listen to it yourself. Page 89. 4 stories.
Now listen to what happened to a trainee nurse from Australia, a farmer from England, a truck driver from the USA, and a carpenter from New Zealand.
Hello, I'm Daisy from Adelaide, and I'm on sick leave. I was doing my work placement at the hospital, and I was alone with an elderly patient. He started coughing, and I tried to put him in a sitting position. I was a bit panicky. I forgot everything I'd learnt about situations like that. So I strained my back, and it will be a while before I can do any more work. If only I'd thought first.
How are you? Better than I am, I hope. My name's Ken, and I'm a farmer. A one-handed farmer, almost. The other day, the engine of my tractor was making a funny noise, so I thought I'd take a look. I poked about in the engine, and my right hand got caught, and 2 fingers were crushed. I won't tell you why, because you'd think I was an idiot. How stupid can you get?
Hi, I'm Craig, and I used to drive trucks across the USA. Now, there are rules about how long you can stay at the wheel, but I was in a hurry to get to my girlfriend, so I drove and woke up in the cab, which had collided with a tree.
I'm Katie, and I'm a carpenter. I'm talking to you from a hospital bed. Yesterday, some fool had spilt oil on the plank I was standing on and hadn't cleaned it up. So I landed on my back with a broken leg. It wasn't my fault, of course, but my employer doesn't agree. What do you think?
All right,
Preventing accidents.
let's talk about this for a minute, and I want you to be quick with your responses, as quick as you can. All right. Which part of her body did the nurse hurt? Those of you who wrote that she hurt her back, you are correct. Got butterflies flying for you. Just to show my appreciation for your correct responses. All right, the next question is, how did the nurse hurt her back? She hurt her back. I want you to quickly answer, a short answer. Just tell me, how did she hurt her back? Those of you who wrote lifting a patient, straightening a patient, trying to help a patient, all of those responses would be correct. The next question is, in the second story, the story about a man named Ken, what is his occupation? Yeah, what is his occupation? Quick. Those of you who wrote farmer, you are correct. The next question is, what part of his body did he hurt? Those of you who wrote fingers, you are correct. And now tell me, what happened to his fingers? If you wrote that he crushed his fingers, you are correct. The next story is about a man named Craig. This man named Craig, he was in an accident. What vehicle was involved in this accident? What vehicle? Was it a car? Was it a truck? Was it a cab? Was it a bus? What was it? If you wrote it was a cab, that's correct. And you have a verb there, collided. The cab collided, to collide, to hit. So the cab hit the tree. Collided, to collide, to hit, it crashed right into it. Crashed right into it. Last but not least, what is the woman's occupation? The fourth story. What is her occupation? What does she do for a living? If you said she's a carpenter, you are correct. Moving on to the next page. I want you to be very careful, and I want you to be present in this class, because if you're just sitting there and you have the YouTube on, but you're doing something else, then it's not going to do you any good. So please pay attention to what's going on here. This is the page that you're going to be reading right now. Page 90. Listen and pay attention. If you can't really listen that well, you can't hear very well, you have a link, and you can use that link to listen to it later on, but please read right now because we're going to be discussing what's on this page. Page 90. Preventing accidents.
1. Laws and regulations. Wherever you are in the world, you will find that there are laws which are made to protect working people from risks. Employers are normally careful about obeying these laws, since if they ignore them, they will be taken to court. Companies also have their safety rules, which employees follow in the interests of their own safety. These are often shown on notices like "No smoking" or "Hard hats must be worn in this area." 2. Safety equipment and protective clothing. People will not fall into holes in the ground or lift shafts or fall from walkways if these are provided with guardrails. Welders will not hurt their eyes if they use visors or goggles, and carpenters will not inhale dust if they use face masks. You will not get cuts or burns on your hands if you wear the right kind of gloves, and you will not injure your feet if you wear protective footwear. Overalls or boiler suits can protect us from chemicals and, to a certain extent, fire risks, and helmets are a must wherever objects can fall on people. 3. Techniques. If you have ever had trouble with your back, or if you know someone who has, you will know that back pain can be very painful and last for a very long time. Hundreds of thousands of people have had to give up work because of it. Most back injuries are due to lifting and carrying loads in the wrong way, and there are a few simple techniques we must learn in order to look after our backs. First of all, do not try to lift loads that are too heavy. There are laws and regulations which state how much a person is allowed to lift, and if you want to show how tough you are by ignoring these, you do so at your own risk. Secondly, when you lift a load, do not bend over it with your legs straight, but bend your knees, keep your back straight, grip the load firmly at the bottom, and unbend your knees and lift the load. By the way, do not carry it in front of your face. Hundreds of millions of people use computers every day. Among these are thousands and thousands of Norwegian students, people like yourselves. If you do not use your computer properly, you may suffer from one or more illnesses, like inflammation of tendons in the arm you move the mouse with. Here are a few techniques which will help prevent computer-related illness. Take short breaks every now and again. Exercise and stretch. Vary your daily work routine. Sit correctly. Ask your teacher for advice if you do not know how to do this. Common sense. Common sense.
Well, let's talk about this for a second. I'm just going to ask some questions. Preventing accidents. Now, I want you to write 2 words in the chat. These 2 things are made to protect working people from risks. These 2 things are made to protect working people from risks. Go. All of you who answered laws and regulations, it's correct. Very good. Next question. Give an example of 2 things that can happen when people are not wearing safety equipment and protective clothing. It's in the second paragraph, safety equipment and protective clothing. If you can't find it, it is here. And this part's here. The second paragraph. So, there are some examples there. If you wrote fall into holes, or fall into a lift shaft, fall from walkways. Those are good examples of things that can happen if people are not wearing protective clothing, they don't have any safety equipment. Now I'm going to ask a question about this paragraph here. The third paragraph. Techniques. True or false? When lifting something from the floor, you should lift with your legs and not with your back. True or false? Everybody who said it's true, you are right. Very good. Good job. The next one, a question about the fourth paragraph. A person can lift however much weight they want to. True or false? Everybody who said is false, please type in the chat what in that paragraph tells you that it's false. What tells you that it's false is the line that reads, there are laws and regulations that state how much a person is allowed to lift. So you can't just lift, oh, I'm so tough, I'm going to lift 1 ton. No, you can't just lift 300 kilos. There are laws and regulations stating a person is only allowed to lift this amount. The last thing I'm going to ask you about this text, this part of the text, give me 2 examples of things that you should do to prevent computer-related illnesses. I know that people are typing in chat because I trust you and I believe in you, and I know that some of these 4 are going to be in the chat. And you're getting a gold star for writing, take short breaks every now and again, exercise and stretch, vary your daily work routine, sit correctly, ask your teacher for advice if you do not know how to do this. We're approaching the end of this text. And everybody's saying, thank goodness for this. Yes, we're just going to do one more bit of the text, 1 round of Quizlet Live, and then I'll give you the activity that you will have to work on and send me either via email, social media, anywhere where you can reach me. I'm very available online. It's very easy to find me. There is no excuse, oh, Pollyanna, I didn't know where to find you. I couldn't send you the work because I didn't know your email. People have sent me homework to my email, school email, personal email, text message on the phone, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. I'm not saying that this is ideal. Of course, Canvas, email at work, those are preferable. I would prefer that. But if there is an emergency and you can't open your email, you don't know what to do, send it to me anywhere. I'll get to it and I'll give you credit for the work that you do. So, that being said, let's keep going. The very last we're gonna do, I just need to find the page. This is the page. Now I'm going to disappear, and you're going to listen and answer some questions, and we're almost done.
Unfortunately, is not all that common, and millions of accidents are caused because people do not think before they act. Here are a few simple principles. Keep your workplace clean and tidy. so that you do not slip on wet surfaces or fall over cables. Use the right tool for the right job. Do not, for example, use a screwdriver as a lever, or you will damage the tool and injure yourself. Do not, whatever you do, let power tools like electric drills get wet. Always unplug power tools before you clean them or attach an accessory. If you are not sure about how to use a tool or a machine, then ask someone who is. There is no such thing as a stupid question. Make sure you have read the instruction book thoroughly before you operate a machine. Wear the right protective gear and follow all the safety rules at all times. If you are suffering from stress, talk to someone like the safety officer at work or your counselor at school. He or she is trained to help you. If you are tired, take a break. A few minutes in a comfortable chair or on the sofa can work wonders and save you from injury.
Excellent. So now we're finished and we're just going to go over a few things about this. I want you to look at the picture and tell me what could happen to this woman. Why is she at risk? She might fall from the ladder, right? That big, all those shelves that she's dealing with right now, like some of those boxes could fall on her. So much could go wrong in this scenario here. She could even break her back, break her leg, get a concussion from hitting her head. So there's so much that can go wrong here. What should she do in this situation to avoid an accident? She could move her ladder a little bit so that she doesn't have to be in that awkward position in which she could fall really easily. But if she moves the ladder, then she could reach the box without having to be in that position. All right, so here is a lesson in common sense. Det å være fornuftig. I hope I said it right, in Norwegian. But I'm not teaching Norwegian right now, I'm teaching English. So, det å være fornuftig er veldig viktig. It's very important to have common sense. So here, all of those aspects, there are lots of points to think about when exercising common sense. So one of the things that I like about this text where it says, there is no such thing as a stupid question. So if you have a question about safety, ask that question. Even if you think, oh, is that dumb that I'm asking this? So here there are so many different suggestions that can be very helpful in your workplace. All right. Now I'm going to give you the activity that you have to do for the day. Here's the page. On this page, I am fully aware that you have lots of tests for other subjects this week, so I don't want to overload you with things to do, but you do have to do some work for the day. You're going to do this exercise on page 93. Exercise 1. Understand. Find examples of these in the text. Illnesses or medical conditions, workplaces, unhealthy working conditions, things that are dangerous if you work with a machine, and industrial clothing. So I'm going to ask you to please do this exercise, send me the exercise, and like I said, you have no excuse to not submit your work. I am the easiest person to find online. If you Google Pollyanna Nielsen, a ton will come up. My phone number, my email, my Instagram, my Facebook, and of course you have my email from the school, you have Canvas. So submit your work. It's very important that you do that. Right now, we're going to do one round of Quizlet Live. Just a one round today because this has been already a long presentation. And after that, you will work on that exercise and send me what you do. So right now, you're going to be receiving a code for Quizlet Live. Please put the code in. We're only going to do one round because I want you to work. All the vocabulary will be the vocabulary from the text that you just read. And I'm sure that you're going to be I'm pretty sure that you're just going to ace this test. It's not going to be difficult. If you have already received the code, just get started. You can keep this on and you can follow it on the screen. I am going to put everything on the screen so you can see the questions.